Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Time to Calibrate podcast. This is episode 31. I am Bob Allaby from the Time to Go Travel and Timepieces YouTube channel. I am joined by co-host, freelance writer, and brand director of Isotope Watches, Mark Levesque. Unfortunately, we do not have Brent Robillard on the show today. He had some prior things that he had to attend to today, but today we do have one of our favorite guests, producer, organizer, and creator of the Timepiece Show, as well as the new Timepiece World Awards, Jason Hutton. Welcome to the show, Jason. How's it going?
Thank you so much. Having a great morning. It's been pretty busy, but always a pleasure to join the Time to Calibrate crew here for a podcast.
Glad to have you. So, as is customary for the show, wrist checks to kick things off. What's on wrist today, Jason?
I am wearing the Grand Seiko GMT Lake Shosho. One of my favorite pieces. It's just got like this brilliant kind of subtle but stunning blue dial. A lot of silver coming through. I really like it. This is a beautiful watch, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Mr. Mark?
Yeah, Jason, very cool watch. When you had popped by my house earlier this week to pick up a watch for the award show, and you were wearing an Omega chronograph, and
Yes.
we were all talking. My wife was there, and I never got around to asking you about it, but that was a pretty cool, rarely seen Panda dialed automatic Speedmaster. I really liked it.
Thank you.
It's a very cool watch.
Yeah.
So I've got on wrist, I figured I might as well represent at some point on this show. I'm wearing an Isotope Flyway. It is the Purple Air, which Bob photographed for us and did a great job. Gorgeous watch. I'm not used to wearing something this small. And, you know, I just had my Omega Speedmaster Solar Impulse, which is a 44 millimeter on before this. And it's just the size contrast is unbelievable. But it's a fun watch to wear. I love it.
But it doesn't wear necessarily small, though.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I think it's a 36 millimeter, but it just doesn't feel it. I don't know what it is about that.
Yeah, it's the way the lugs are and the way the first link that catches the case, it's the same width.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives us a little more presence. But just to give you an idea, I know this is an audio only podcast, but look at the size difference between these two guys.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
But the Flyway is heavier because it's steel and the other one's titanium. So
Mark's holding up his new Speedy he picked up a couple of weeks ago.
It's like a dinner plate and a saucer.
Yeah, exactly. A coffee saucer and a dinner plate.
Yeah.
What about you, Bob? What do you got?
Well, today I am wearing a watch that I just arrived here the other day from you, actually, Mark. This is the Sartori Biard. It's the SB04, I think.
Yeah.
Tantalum. I have two versions of the watch, this and the Ruby, and Mark and I are collaborating actually on an article for the Calibrated Wrist. Mark's doing the writing and I'll be doing the photography for that. And we're going to probably make this a thing and actually do this going forward. There's another watch coming in soon. We were just talking about this morning that we're going to work on as well. But yeah, this is an absolute beautiful, beautiful watch. I can't wait to get it in front of the camera, which I might do a little later on today.
Yeah. She's got a lot of polished surfaces and little angles and things. It's going to be a tricky one to really capture.
Yeah, the tricky ones are kind of fun, though. I like a bit of a challenge. Yeah. So now most people listening will know Jason, but for those that don't, Jason started in the industry by releasing his own brand, Zenea Watches, last year after a huge amount of work. He organized and produced the first ever Toronto Timepiece Show. It was a huge success, and as was his second show, the Vancouver Timepiece Show last fall. This year running separately, but alongside the Toronto show, Jason has now added producer of the Timepiece World Awards to his resume, which is something we're all really looking forward to. We'll talk more on that here today, but we also have a massive announcement for the listeners from Jason. So a lot to get into today.
Yeah, just one small little correction. And the Vancouver Timepiece Show was last spring.
Oh, spring. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it was last spring in April. We've now been doing the podcast for over a year. And in this time, we've only had one repeat guest. We had Jason on 4 times now, counting this one. So I was thinking we should do like Saturday Night Live and have those jackets with the little number on the amount of times you've been on, like Steve Martin and Martin Short and Alec Baldwin and Christopher Walken wear when they come on the show repeatedly. So it might not be a suit jacket. Maybe we'll get you a T-shirt. And every time you show up, we'll have our logo, number 5 and then number 6. And
I'll wear the shirt. I'm a T-shirt guy. I like it. So I can do I'll do like a Saturday Night Live, like, live from Burlington, Ontario.
Yeah, exactly. Live from Canada.
To calibrate. Yeah.
How does it feel to be our first 4-time guest?
It's unique, I guess. I don't know.
You getting more comfortable?
Yeah, well, I actually enjoy being on podcasts quite a bit. I find for me,
You're on other podcasts?
I am, not
You're
many.
not allowed. This is forbidden.
Yeah, but I get a very, as opposed to video where you're kind of looking at the camera, I find with the podcast, you kind of, for me at least, I internalize. So I kind of get into like just my mind and I just speak. And I find it actually very relaxing and easy to do. So I quite like chatting on podcasts. And I think there's some great questions and just gets into great dialogue. So it's been a lot of fun. And I talk with I know Brent's not here today, but I talk with all three of you on a regular basis as well. So I feel very much like I'm not just a guest on a podcast, but, you know, it's a group of friends all chatting and talking about what's going on in the world of watches. So I enjoy that tremendously.
Absolutely. And at this point, you're just a fourth host.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe I don't have to do any of the tech work though. Thank goodness.
So it is that time of year again. The Toronto show is just around the corner and it's become a highlight of the year for us and a lot of brands and enthusiasts. This year, there are quite a few new brands coming to the show, and it will also be a first for many enthusiasts. Maybe we can start by letting them and even people back at the show for the second time know what to expect when it comes to the show, to where the show is being held, the venue.
Yeah, we've got a new venue this year. Actually, last year, based on just from a kind of a backstory, actually months before I ran the first show in Toronto, I already knew based on the demand and excitement around the show that I was going to need a larger venue for next year. So I actually booked the new venue months before I even ran the first Toronto show. So that was a little scary as well, because there was a certain element of faith, like believing that we're going to grow and we're going to continue to grow. But this year we are at it's called the Meridian Arts Center. So this is at 5040 Yonge Street in Toronto. It's an absolutely incredible venue. The building was built around 1991, 1992. There's abundance of natural light. They have a huge lobby area, so an upper and lower lobby. The total facility is like 55,000 square feet. It is absolutely massive. The exhibit areas are a little less than that, but it's still a really, really good venue. There's lots of things around it. So I'm just super excited for the new venue. I feel like this is a place we're going to stay for a long time. I've already booked for next year at the same venue. I think people who came to the show last year, I know it was an amazing experience. This new venue and based on the size and the brands who are coming, I think it's just going to be a level up, and people are going to, I believe they're going to love it. They've been a really good group to work with there, and so excited to have this iteration of the show take place.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I was supposed to go a couple of different times to sort of preview the venue with you, and it just didn't work out. So I'm looking forward to seeing it in person on Friday. I'll be there early with the help of setting up and the labor work as per usual.
Bob will actually see it even a couple of days before that, because I'm utilizing his pickup truck to help move a bunch of items.
You guys have to do a Costco run. It's now the
Costco run is going to be the easy part.
Yeah.
I sent a video last day just showing how many boxes were there. It's unbelievable. Last year there was a lot, but the show is almost double the size in terms of number of exhibitors and expected attendees. So there's a lot of material and just a lot of movement of items that takes place in the days coming up to the show.
Well, I joined the gym after the Vancouver show, so I'm ready for it.
Very good.
The three of us, I say the three of us, it's the two of us here, but Brent would be included in this, but we get to experience a lot of the process you go through to make the show, and now the awards happen. It is something you often maybe vent at times or elated, depending on what the situation is at times, but is it something where it gets easier the more shows you've done? Just the whole process?
The short answer to that is yes. But not being one to shy away from a challenge. There's always new challenges. For the show specifically in Toronto this year, we have a new venue. The layout is different. We have a lot more exhibitors. So although certainly I've learned from the process of the first one, we're figuring out the nuances in terms of the new venue, in terms of dealing with more exhibitors. Also, with the Timepiece World Awards being produced as well, that's added a definitely deeper layer of complexity to the whole logistics piece. So, yes, you do learn, and it gets a little easier. There's always things that behind the scenes kind of go sideways, or you need to navigate through. There's been, I would say, even today, there's probably been at least 3 to 4 that I've had to kind of, things went a little, not sideways, but I just had to attend to that I wasn't expecting. So it gets a little more challenging, but this is okay. This is part of organizing a show and, staying on top of things and hopefully making the experience amazing for all the brands who show up and, as importantly, all the attendees who take time out of their schedules to attend as well.
Yeah, Brent, as we know, is not here. He has given us questions to ask, and we're going to go through them. I'll do a few, Bob will do a few, and here's Brent's first question. I'm sure Toronto 2024 was a steep learning curve. I know you were much more relaxed come Vancouver. However, I'm also sure that even with experience, there are challenges that arise out of the blue. You just said you had a couple of calls today. How do you handle the unexpected? What are some of the things John Q. Public would never think of that would occur?
That's a great question. I think it's a little difficult to answer just because every challenge that comes up is unique. I think the biggest thing, though, that people maybe don't always appreciate is, especially coming up to the show, is how time sensitive some of the requests are, or how little time you have to respond to something. So to give you, I was doing a bit of travel recently, but like last night, I went to bed reasonable hour last night, but the days before, most evenings I was going to bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was working up until I went to bed. Like, there's just so many hours, and you just have to stay on top of things and keep working. As well with the shows, because you're dealing with brands from all over the world, from Asia, from Europe, from North America. You have to accommodate to a certain extent to manage the time zones. So it's very common for me to be having, dialogues or discussions with a brand, and they might be in Hong Kong or Singapore, and I'm talking with them. And sometimes we just switch to a live call because it's easier. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning. So this is something that's required, I think, occasionally. And this is you just navigate through it. I love doing it, but it can be pretty punishing from an hour standpoint on your personal schedule.
Yeah, I'm in the universe of logistics and supply chain, and that's pretty much been my career, is the dealing with different time zones and the issues that happen in the middle of the night, and the unexpected is always expected.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And one thing that it's interesting too, like especially the European brands, because they tend to be 5 or 6 hours ahead for the most part of Toronto. If I'm productive and I'm sending out various messages, whether it be through WhatsApp, email, etc. When I go to sleep and I wake up in the morning, I usually get up around 6:30. My inbox will be full already with either answers or tasks to happen from the European clients who we work with. And then, so it makes for a very full day right away. But I kind of like that you wake up and you've got all this stuff in front of you that you need to do. I know it sounds a bit strange, but
it's the same with me. I work with Jose, right? So Jose's in the UK. So I'll think of things and I'll work on stuff after work hours on his projects. And then he'll answer them while I'm asleep. And I wake up in the morning, I've got all these emails and projects from Jose. You just have to make sure that the people you're talking to understand that they're not going to get answers in real time at those times. But yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I know you just came back from Switzerland, and I believe you spoke about the British Watchmakers show in the UK on a previous show of ours. You've been going to a lot of shows. Is there anything you've seen elsewhere that you would like to implement into our Canadian shows and haven't done yet? Like perhaps staggering attendance, breakfast with brands, maybe a photo booth. The last one was a joke. I wrote it out, and then I was thinking, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. You get a photo booth, and then people do wrist shots, and you project that onto the wall, and just the wrist shots keep accumulating. And at the end of the show, you got this giant mosaic of wrist shots.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
I like that idea. I have to look at that next year for Toronto.
That'd be cool.
It would be. The one advantage we have with the Toronto venue is it's quite large. So we have a few opportunities to do some creative things like that. Certainly having the photography set up and the lighting available. That's something we do not have this year, but I think it has value, especially for content creators. One thing we do have that's new is we actually have a dedicated area for a media lounge as well.
So, very cool. I was about to ask about that.
Good. We've actually got 3 stations, and they're curtained off, so there's a little bit of privacy there. so people can come in and film or have a chat. And sometimes it's a little more relaxed to do that outside of the show setting. So we have availability of those to all brands and all media. A couple of them are by appointment, so you can book time. The other one is basically open, and if it's available, you can pop in. So we're doing some new things this year. I think as the show continues to evolve and grow, we're going to do some creative things. For me, the goal of the show has always been engagement and having people who take part love the show and enjoy it. And that operates on two ends. There's brands and there's attendees. So I think anything that contributes to the positive experience for either of those two parties, I'm always supportive of, and we're always looking for creative ways to do things. So I love the idea though with the like poster in terms of the wrist shots in like a nice kind of almost studio setting. So I
yeah, mosaic kind of style. Put them all on the wall.
Yeah.
That media center, are you going to have a door that locks on the outside? Because I know of one media dude I'd love to put in there and lock the door.
No locks, unfortunately. No locks. But it's a big venue, so if you don't like that media dude, you can wander off to another area of the venue.
You aren't talking about me, are you, Mark?
No, not at all. You know who I'm talking about.
I do. So here's another one from Brent. I wish I could do. I wish I was better at impersonations, but I'm not.
I was trying all day. No, I just can't do Brent.
So this is from Brent. Let's talk a little more about the shows you attend overseas. Of course, you go there partly as an enthusiast, but it's also been a key manner for you to reach out to new brands and consolidate relationships. Tell us why you go through the extra expense and trouble. What do you achieve at these shows that cannot be achieved in an email or a phone call?
I think he's almost already answered the question. The engagement that you have with someone face to face or in person is usually very different. I rarely see other show organizers head out to shows in different parts of the world to connect with brands. The majority stay home. There are some that do it, but for the most part, people don't do it. I think brands appreciate the effort and the time that you take to meet somebody in person. And I think there's two things that are very valuable for me and my perspective and my respective business. One, for existing clients, it's always amazing to see them and you can chat, you can connect. A lot of good things happen when you're there in person. I think certainly being at these other venues or shows, it gives you ideas and inspires you about how to become better, how to engage people more effectively. And the other part is when someone's at the show and they have not met you before, or you've been trying to connect with them, the experience is very different when you're in person. Mm-hmm. I find particularly with European brands, if you have that dialogue or engagement in person, it just makes a lot of difference. So this is how relationships are built. And some people that I speak to are very interested about the shows right out of the gate or different things I might be working on. Other ones take time to warm up to it. But when they warm up, it's because they get to know you as a person. They've gotten to hear other things about the shows, what went well, what other brands speak about, what their experience was like. So I find this is very valuable. And as a watch enthusiast, I love traveling to these locations and connecting with people as well. And it can be a bit punishing on schedule, but it's so enjoyable. And I'm not going to change that. I'll certainly continue to do that and go to different locations. I find it's incredibly high value for the business, but also for myself personally.
So now that since you've attended so many shows, this kind of goes along with what I was about to ask. The first show I ever attended was in New York back in 2018, and it was a little overwhelming. It was a lot of fun, but there was just so much to take in. Do you have any tips for first-time attendees on how to get the most out of the show?
I think it depends on what show you're going to. If you're an attendee and let's say for
your show in particular,
let's talk about Toronto as an example. This year is going to be much larger. We have approximately 80 brands that are taking part in the show. Some people just have a few hours or they have a ticket for one day, and that's the only day they're going to come. I always encourage people to explore because there's so many amazing, amazing brands. But I think coming in with a bit of a plan in terms of these are the 4 or 5 or 6 brands that I really want to see. If you do a bit of research, that's very helpful. If you look at the website for the Timepiece shows, so timepieceshow.com is where it is, and you click on Toronto, it'll list out all the brands that are there, and you'll see some that you recognize, but it'll give you an opportunity to do a bit of research and kind of make the most of your time. but I always encourage people to explore and chat with people. One of the things about the Toronto show and the Timepiece Show series in general is there's a lot of independent brands. So you'll get the opportunity to meet the founders, the creators, the inspiration, or very senior people behind the brand. And dialoguing with those individuals can be pretty inspiring. And it's amazing to hear their stories and their passion for horology. So everyone who's never gone to a watch show before, that's one of the things you'll take away from it. And if you've more of a seasoned veteran and you've been to these shows, same advice applies, but you know the excitement that can be created around these shows.
And it's so easy for me, I find it so easy to lose like an hour just talking with one brand owner. Like if you're capable of coming both days, I would highly suggest that.
I would suggest it too. The one advantage this year with Toronto, because the venue is much, much larger, although we've had more ticket registrations than we did last year, we haven't felt the need to like close it off. So it's going to allow people to get in. So there's huge, we've registered well over 5,000 tickets, and we've still got about another week to go. So we're going to have a lot of people at this show. Saturday is going to be incredibly busy. Sunday will be busy as well. But if you've only registered for one day, most people of those individuals are on Saturday, and you have the time, I would highly recommend you grab yourself a ticket for Sunday as well, because you will need it if you really want to explore and talk to all of these brands. There's so much amazing product and so many amazing people there, and we've got some great talks happening and so many things. You really need the full 2 days to truly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to circle back to what you said about visiting your clients, in a past life, I was a trainer for agents and salespeople in the supply chain logistics. And oftentimes it's very easy to sit at your desk and make cold calling and sending out a bunch of emails using MailChimp and all these other technologies, but nothing changes a relationship with someone until you meet them in person. And, oftentimes I would, if someone said, oh, the client wants me to come and see them, say, yeah, absolutely. Get off your ass, go. Because that relationship changes immediately when you're in person. These clients often get solicitations over the phone, by email all the time, and they just dismiss them, right? Where oftentimes when you're making cold calling, you don't even get past the gatekeeper. But if you get to meet the right person in person, it changes everything. And if you're going to visit them at a show where they're displaying their wares and you show interest in their wares, they get excited and they want to show you how cool their stuff is. I'm telling you that what you're doing is the right way to do it. And there's nothing, I can't tell you how you could do it better. I think this is fantastic. Again, meeting people in person to do this is the way to go. So I still consider myself a show novice, but I've attended a couple of new shows, and as an exhibitor and as a participant over the last year or so. And shows like the Wind Up in New York City have grown so large that many enthusiasts feel they don't have enough time with the brands. Now, you mentioned, Bob, that you can easily spend an hour with a brand. That cannot happen at the New York Wind Up. And the same thing with the brands. They don't feel that they can connect with the enthusiasts because there's lineups for people to see. And enthusiasts standing there and there's 3 people behind them trying to grab at the same watch. Will you eventually cap the number of brands presenting at the Timepiece shows to limit that?
It will be capped based on capacity within the venue. I'm a firm believer, though, when you have a venue, even if it's a large venue, to me, I'll say like a medium to large show, to me, the ideal size in terms of number of brands ranges from around 55, 60 to the upper end of around 100, 110 at the most. So the bottom line is, yes, I will have a cap eventually. Probably anticipate next year with Toronto, we'll be at around like 90, 95 brands, probably based on plans for next year. I think I'm going to keep it at that level, though. I don't want to create smaller tables and just pack in more people. I want to create an amazing experience. And that's keeping that probably at about 90 or 95 brands for that venue for Toronto particularly.
Yeah, that was one of the complaints that Jose had last year when he did the New York Wind Up. It was so large. And of course, the bigger brands like Fortis and the larger company brands want it to be closest to the front door. And then they put Isotope and the smaller independents way in the back. And it would happen, people would show up and eventually make their way to Isotope and say, oh my God, I wish I knew you were here. I spent all my money behind me. You know what I mean? And it was just a lot of brands. I think they had 150 brands last year in New York, and it was on 2 or 3 levels. And it was quite according to Jose and according to other people I've spoken to as well, it was a bit of a mess, and it's also quite expensive. But that's a side note. Speaking of wind up, a lot of non-participating brands are banding together to create smaller shows right around the corner of wind up. Would you be open to other companies, other brands running concurrent little timepiece shows around yours?
I think it's
like to do in Geneva.
I think it's something that's a natural progression. When I look, and this is always the design from day one, when I wanted to grow what was happening during the show weekend for Toronto, I think as you grow the shows are pretty affordable for brands for the most part. But again, everybody's got different needs. So I'm sure there'll be more events that will kind of start to take place. There's a number already. Brands do small meetups or gatherings, like Red Bar has a group, I think there's 4 brands or 5 brands doing a special Red Bar meetup the day before the show starts. There's always things like this. So, I don't control those per se. Sometimes I become aware of them. They either let me know or I just see them on social media. So I think it's a good thing. It helps overall for the city. So obviously the shows are very expensive and they take a lot of effort to put on. So I would hope that brands would continue to support the shows as much as possible. But again, to me, it's about creating an amazing weekend in the city, not just an amazing Toronto Timepiece show. So that's how I kind of approach and take a look at things.
So Brent's next question is kind of similar to this one that you just asked, but I'll ask it anyway. Watches and Wonders is the biggest watch show on the planet right now. Participating brands pay a lot of money to be there, but like what might happen in New York this year, many side shows have also arisen. Time to Watches is the biggest, but there's also Les Vergers. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
I'm French and I can't pronounce that, so don't worry about it.
The Beau Rivage, the East West, the Hotel Angleterre, and more. Rolex called the other shows pirates, but I'm in the mind, Brent speaking here, that a rising tide lifts all ships. What do you think?
I would agree. I mean, I don't think I hide that sentiment for myself. I was in Geneva that year for my first Watches and Wonders when that comment came out, and a lot of people were talking about it. People still talk about it. I think there's a place to have it. It's very interesting in Geneva because when you go there, it's really the one of the watchmaking centers of the world. And the atmosphere at Watches and Wonders is a little different than Geneva Watch Week, which tends to be a little more relaxed. And Geneva Watch Week, by design, everything is more or less spread out. Whereas Watches and Wonders, there tends to be these hot spots like the Pal Expo and other areas as well. So I think it does help the industry as a whole. Anytime situation gets in, though, where something is not directly benefiting one particular group, especially if they're the larger group, it can cause contention. So, but I'm in agreement with Brent. I think the rising tide raises all ships, if you want to use that statement. I think it's just good to help grow the industry as a whole. This helps everybody perform more effectively, and I'll always be supportive of that. This is how the timepiece shows are designed, to really help everybody be accessible, not only for brands to exhibit, but for attendees to come as well. There's a reason why I make the tickets free. I was at a recent watch meetup a few months ago, and there was a watch enthusiast, and he was speaking to me about the shows. And he was very pointed with his opinion. And he said, I don't understand why you're not charging for tickets. You should be charging for tickets. Everybody would pay and you make more money. And for me, though, that goes against a little bit about what I want to try and do with the shows. I want to make it accessible. I want people to come, even if there's a passing interest in watches, but they want to explore, come to the show and experience it and talk to these brands. And, this is how we bring new enthusiasts into the industry. I think it's very important. And keeping those barriers low is incredibly important to make sure that happens. So, and I'm very happy with how the Timepiece Show series has progressed, and it's really become an anchor point, at least in the Canadian market space. And I'd say that spills over a bit into the East Coast of the US as well, as great anchor points for growth to be happening within the market space. And a lot of good things have come around as a result of the shows, and I'm very, very happy about that. It pleases me to see that.
Yeah, that's a great stance. I know that there's a fee for British Watchmakers Day in the UK. That is a one-day show. And the amount that they charge, I think it's £10. It's not a lot. And that money goes towards the British Alliance of Watchmakers, which, helps all the little brands and big brands together. I think it's a worthwhile charge, and it's a more niche. It's only British, UK brands, not British, UK brands, because I think Scottish brands are in there too, and Irish brands.
Mhm.
So, I get that. And I think they want to limit also the amount of people that show up, because it's a one-day show. So they do a morning ticket event and then an afternoon ticket event, whereas the Toronto Timepiece Show is literally 3 days. You got the creators event on the Friday evening, and then you got 2 full days on Saturday and Sunday. So, the crowds can come in and spread around. If the lineup's a little long, go have a burger somewhere, come back, or have a coffee. And, but from last year's experience, I don't know if you remember, I was worried about lineups and, waiting times at tables and so forth. And those fears were assuaded when we opened the show. There were a lot of people, but it just flowed so well. So I think it's going to be even better now that the venue is larger and more open. I'm just so excited. I can't wait. So now with 2 shows under your belt and next one right around the corner, what have you learned of the past experiences that will enhance the upcoming show?
Oh, I don't think this podcast is long enough to talk about all of that. But
hey, we've been going long lately, so you go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about a couple of high level pieces. I think from a logistics standpoint, because the logistics get incredibly complex in terms of making these shows happen. Not only in the supply of elements that I need from a planning and execution of the show, but also organizing and working with brands from around the globe. They have product coming in, they have different needs that are sometimes specific to them, and it's helping to be a supportive partner to assist with that as much as possible. It becomes very complex though, because there's so many last minute issues and things that come up. And, today when I mentioned there was 3 or 4 things that happened, a couple of those are related to brand specific needs, right? And, you learn from that. I think you also learn from attendee experience and brand experience. The good news is last year, people overall were very happy, but you learn how to be more effective and how to make the experience better. And you also learn a bit where, this is worthwhile to invest funds and resources to make this better, or you learn other areas where you say, okay, maybe the funds or the resources doesn't add a lot of value, even though you might think it will. So you become a little bit more effective, I think, at managing your costs, dealing with logistics. I've had the good fortune this year of starting to work with a colleague, Geraldine, who's my event director. So she's working part-time now. That's been a tremendous help. She will be transitioning actually to a full-time role. So I'm going to give her a shout out here because she's just been absolutely exceptional. She's going to help tremendously with helping to keep things on track. And she's very, very detail oriented, which is an area that even though people would say I'm detail oriented, I don't feel I am. And she's a tremendous asset, I believe, going forward. So we're going to
shout out Geraldine. Yay!
Yeah. Shout out to her. So I gave her a shout out on the Grey NATO podcast, and I'll give a shout out here too. So
what podcast?
She's
never heard of it.
Oh yeah. They're a little podcast. You don't know them. So anyways, no, it's but it's just, it's about working with everybody. The community as well, especially around Toronto, has been incredibly supportive. A lot of people just helping to spread the word, ask for if you need extra assistance, can you help out a bit? Or I don't ask them, but they say if you need help. So I always appreciate that as well. It's a big undertaking this year with the show. We have about a dozen staff on site throughout the weekend. So it's a lot of people doing everything. And the awards in particular, there's a lot of new roles there that we did not have last year. And so that's added a lot to the complexity from a planning standpoint. But you learn from every show, and you also learn to evolve and just keep an open mind and see things that work well. Even your idea at the beginning of the podcast, so you should do a little a studio, and you could take the picture and then maybe it uploads into a shared server or something like that. I think that's a great idea. If you could facilitate something like that, I think it would be a lot of fun. And it's a way for people to stay engaged with the show.
Absolutely. And it would be pretty cool, seeing your own wrist shot on the big screen along with all the other wrist shots and making a mosaic out of that, and maybe making that into something we can print and put into a frame for next year. Someone could win it, or I don't know, whatever.
This is getting expensive, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah, but what you do is you do a draw and people pay $1 for a ticket or something and you make some money. Anyways, we can talk about this off air.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything you've liked to have done differently for this coming Toronto Timepiece Show, but just ran out of racetrack due to all the work you've been doing putting into the awards banquet?
I wish I could clone myself 2 or 3 times over. That would be helpful. Maybe clone Geraldine 2 or 3 times over. That would also be helpful. I think just time this year has been incredibly compressed from a timing standpoint. I think we're in great shape right now, but the last few months have just been so tight from a timeline standpoint. It's been really challenging. And, I can't change that. I think we're doing what we're doing, but I wish I just had more hours in the day sometimes to attend to these things. So
one thing I just got to say, a little thing to Geraldine, you're fired. We had a little running joke at the Vancouver show last year where we fired each other quite a number of times. So I wanted to get the first firing in here today, but she's
not here to defend herself or to fire you back.
I know.
We're gonna have to fix that.
She'll look after her during the show.
Just so all the listeners are aware, both of them are on like a performance improvement plan right now, including Bob.
So I actually, you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm holding the award that's going to be given out this next week. The awards happen on Saturday evening, which is the 21st of this month. They'll be hosted by Canadian comedy legend Colin Mockery. If you're outside of Canada, you'll probably know him from the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? Tell us a little bit about what's happening that evening and also where people that can't attend in person can watch it.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, we're very excited for the program. As you mentioned, Colin Mockery is the host, and I know he's an amazingly funny individual. And really the whole goal behind the awards ceremony is just to provide a great venue to attract people to Toronto globally. And like the shows, my underlying goal is always to connect people and bring people together. This new awards program really provides that opportunity to do that. We've had an incredible response. Our time frames from when we launched the entry platform to the deadline closing date was incredibly tight. It was only 50 days. We were able to garner about 185 entries, though, from 19 different countries. So I'm very, very happy with that outcome. It was pretty stressful, to be quite candid about it. And about 150 of those were approved. We've got our finalists now, which are listed on timepieceworld.com. And very, very excited for this program. We will be live streaming the program, and we'll have that link within the next couple of days. And I'm going to be sharing it and asking all our committee and jury members to also share it. So if you can't, obviously not everybody is going to be able to attend the awards in person, but for those who want to come and kind of take part in the festivities, it's a really grand venue. We're going to have a very large video screen, behind Colin Mockery and just everybody being involved. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's some incredible brands which have entered and made it to the finalists. It's a real mixture of like artisanal brands, some higher end luxury pieces. There's also some smaller independents in there as well who've made it through the voting into the finalists. So that's kind of wonderful to see.
Isotope.
Yes, Isotope is part of it. But one of the things I think that's going to be absolutely wonderful, and you'll see in my speech that I'm going to give to the audience at the opening of the ceremony, is really, I wanted to bring people together. For the finalists, we have brands from the US, from, Canada, from all over Europe, from all over Asia. And we have a lot of brand representatives flying in from many, many parts of the world, including coming all the way from Asia to attend this ceremony. They're flying across the world to be at the show and the awards ceremony, basically for 2 days. And to me, that's an absolutely beautiful thing. And you're going to get to meet these people and, because they'll be around Toronto for the weekend. So I'm very, very excited for what the future holds. And I think the industry is as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's been a lot of work, but it's all going to come to fruition on the Saturday evening. Start time will be 7 p.m. For a reception. And then the actual ceremony will start at 8. It's not really open to the public at this time, but the public will be able to enjoy it. So we're very, very excited about it.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be really cool. We just have to figure out how Colin Mockery can come and be a guest on our podcast.
Yes.
He probably would. So I'll put in a good word for you. So I've got his email now, so I can talk to him.
The only thing is he's not allowed to be funnier than me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. So no, it's going to be a really exciting evening. And
Yeah, I like him. I love that show. Whose Line Is It Anyways? I don't know if do you guys ever see the episode where uh, uh, Williams there that passed away. What's his name? I'm having a memory
Robin
fart.
Williams?
Yeah, Robin Williams was on an episode.
Oh, I never seen that. No.
Yeah, go look it up online. It's very good. Very, very good.
Yeah, that's such an amazing show. I remember watching it, and there's so many like funny clips and things that happen, and there's so many short clips that exist now on on YouTube, on Instagram. I think because I've been engaging with Colin a little bit, it's kind of comes up on my feed now. I constantly get things in my suggested accounts.
Sure.
Talk about Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Brent and I are going to be presenting one of the awards, and my goal by the end of the award show is to be best friends with Colin Ockery. So don't worry, I'll get him on.
I'll give Colin a warning to stay away from you. So yeah,
you can't stay away from Bob. Bob is an unstoppable force.
Yes. And both Bob and Brent will be presenting the award for the foundation category, which is watches which are 2,500 US or under. So excited to have them as part of the program as well. So most of the jurors, or all of the jurors, and quite a few numbers of the committee members will be present, and they'll be co-presenting the awards for different categories. So very excited about that.
Yeah, very, very cool. With the planning and preparation of the Toronto Timepiece Show and the Timepiece World Awards, you mentioned before that you were a bit of on a time crunch. And having been part of the oversight committee, I felt a little bit of that crunch when the entries were coming in.
Yes.
So next year, you said you're going to start a little earlier. How much earlier do you think you're going to be starting? And do you anticipate more participants for the awards next year?
I fully anticipate we're going to get more next year. Part of the challenge this year, as I mentioned, is we just had a very short lead time in terms of runway. The timing is going to be similar, but we'll probably open up the entries. I would anticipate maybe about 4 weeks earlier. So probably like late April, end of May. And that will give more time for brands to enter, and I'll still close them out. I think at the original time frame. This year we closed out the entries at around like July 20th, I believe. I think I'll probably close them out on July 1st or July 2nd this year. So we'll have about an additional month. But I think the important part is the lead up to the awards. We'll have more time to work with the brands and spreading the news and getting people to know about the awards. We had a number of brands that were very, very interested in the awards this year, but they just couldn't do it from a timing standpoint for a number of reasons. One of the interesting things actually that comes up when you see brands, particularly like old horology or artisanal brands, is they only have a very, very limited number of example pieces, basically, that they can share or use. So sometimes it's not the brands themselves, it's actually the watch being available that will dictate what they can participate in and how. So having a little bit more lead time with the dates, I think will help with that. And again, I won't drop any names, but there's some big ones that I had extensive discussions with, and in the end, they just couldn't do it this year because they couldn't guarantee that the watch would be available for the jury on the dates that we wanted. But I think it's going to be great next year. And
so basically, Rolex, Omega, Breitling, those are the guys you don't want to talk. They weren't going to say anything about, right?
Rolex, no. Rolex has never called me, and I don't think they will. So that's okay. Yeah, but it's some very high-end independent brands.
That's cool.
And we still have some credible brands as well this year. Like I had the pleasure of meeting some of them recently. So really amazing people. So I love it. And I think it's going to be an incredible platform for the watch community to gather around. Particularly, we don't really have anything like it in North America. So I think it's quite unique in this regard. So I'll be quite happy as we build it out.
Yeah. And then next year, this will be a known quantity, right? You'll have something to reference.
I hope
Just like
so.
the Toronto Timepiece Show, right? The first show, I was going to say episode. The first show went off without a hitch. It was fantastic. Now it's a known quantity. We had no issues getting brands involved for Vancouver. I think Toronto now is really on the map for that. And now we're going to put them on the map for the awards as well. I say we in the you and your team.
I'm working on it, and it's certainly true. Like the very first time I went to Geneva and I was speaking to people about the Toronto show, majority of people had not heard of it, And that was the first introduction they ever had to me or the show in many regards. Now, depending on the type of brand and who I talk to, it's much more common when I drop the name Toronto Timepiece Show, they know of the event and they know who I am, or they've heard things about it, good things.
Yeah.
And this is tremendously helpful. It gives you a little bit more credibility coming out, and people are like, oh, I'm glad to meet you. And, and they're interested already, which is beautiful. But again, that takes time to build. And just like the show series, the awards will take some time to build as well. But I think it's something that's needed within the market space. And hopefully there's going to be, more attention to it in a good way in the coming years. So I'm excited for what the future holds.
Hold on, Bob, 1 second. This question's not on the list there, but when you introduce yourself to a brand that doesn't know who you are, do you say, hi, I'm Mr. Timepiece?
I do not. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that, though, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Timepiece.
Mr. Timepiece, yeah. So it's actually, that was one of the things in some of my recent trips now, because I'm getting involved in so many different areas within the horology industry. The timepiece shows and the awards are the main ones, of course. And I won't go into it in this podcast, but there's 2 or 3 other areas I'm also involved in. It becomes a bit challenging because you have many things you can kind of speak about. So a lot of it is just when you initially connect with people, getting a kind of sense of what's going to be most meaningful for them, and then just choosing, what you're going to chat about. Usually the shows is the main thing, but again, it depends on the brand, it depends on the context, depends if they know you or not. And but there's many, many things to chat about. So, but I love it. It's a lot of fun.
So you've had a very busy, I was going to say couple of weeks, but it's been basically nonstop busy. It is nonstop busy for you, but in the last couple of weeks, you've been prepping for the show, the awards, you've traveled to Switzerland. And when you got back from Switzerland, the very next morning, you made a road trip. That day you got back, and that brings us to the announcement we mentioned earlier. What's the big news?
Yeah, so I'll do a lead into where it is, and this is more for the listeners because I know you both know. But I got back from Switzerland at around 8 p.m. on the Sunday night. I hopped in the car the next day at 6 a.m. to drive out to a city to look at a potential show venue for a new city. So I'm very, very pleased to announce the success. The visit was a success, and we found this incredible venue. To the Timepiece Show series, we're going to be adding Montreal, Quebec to the list of shows in Canada. This will be taking place the last weekend of May in 2026. We have an absolutely beautiful venue towards downtown Montreal. It's very central. It's actually an old restored church. It's about the same size as the Vancouver venue, slightly larger. So I couldn't be more excited. I've already been talking to brands about it. I've already got a lot of commitments from brands, and they're super excited to also come and see the Montreal community. So for those of our fans or listeners in Quebec, we're coming to you. You're going to have a Montreal show. So I couldn't be more excited. And I think it's going to be an amazing addition to the Canadian series. So we have Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal.
That's awesome.
I've got goosebumps.
Too bad Mark can't attend. He'd burst into flames walking into it.
Yeah. Oh, come on now.
It's not an active church. You might be okay, but you can wear your asbestos underwear and protect yourself.
My tinfoil hat.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful venue. I saw pictures of it, and it's in Little Burgundy, which is an up-and-coming little part of town right now. Like you said, not far from downtown, easy to get to. This is going to be something else. And
I'm super excited. And the one thing that I love about all the venues for the Canadian shows is they're all a little different. They all have their own feel. They all have their own sense of community. But I think the piece that's going to be contiguous throughout all of the 3 venues is that feeling of accessibility, of engagement, keeping things fun and enjoyable. I have no doubt that Montreal, we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to follow the same format. So the Friday night being a creators VIP night, and then 2 full show days on the Saturday and Sunday. So I am super, super excited for Montreal. It will happen May 29th, 30th, and 31st of 2026. That's 1 month after the Vancouver show, which is at the end of April. So mark your calendars, more details to follow. Same sort of format as the other shows, and I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing weekend. So
I can't wait. Have you mentioned you got some commitments from brands? Anybody sign on the dotted line yet, or?
No, but it's I'd say they're like a verbal handshake. So I suspect we're
Love
gonna.
them verbal handshakes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of the same brands that you see in Toronto this year. There's actually a lot of brands which are very interested in attending all three shows in 2026. So we're building a good support network, and I'm excited for what the future holds for Canada and the watch community, as well as the Timepiece Show. So it's and the venue is spectacular, and from a logistical standpoint, behind the scenes, it's got all the tools and supports that we need in order to put together an amazing show. So couldn't be happier, and very glad I made the trek out there. But by the time I got home on Tuesday, I was absolutely exhausted because it had been a very, very busy week.
Add the jet lag too.
Yeah, that too.
Do you need any help for talking to local retailers? I know that in Toronto you have Jean Bijou that presents. I know a couple of people here that might be interested in doing something like that. If you need help,
we'll talk for sure. I think there's always attractiveness to the venue when there's some local folks. Here in Toronto, we have a couple of retailers taking part this year. It's Jean Bijou, which is the official retailer of the show. We also have Classic Creations, which is an amazing shop as well. They're going to be taking part and representing Doxa. Zin is going to be there as one of their brands, and Nomos Gloshute. So we've got some really cool brands taking part this year. And Sam from Jean Bijou, he's got 10 or 11 brands that he's bringing with him. So there's going to be some really fun stuff. And of course, all the independents and folks like Isotope, Atelier Wen, Fears is here in Toronto again, Christopher Ward, Maurice Lacroix is a new exhibitor this year. We actually have, I'm going to give a special mention as well. There's an amazing watch brand called Awake out of France. And they have actually produced and created a novelty specifically for Toronto and the Canadian market. I purchased one myself. I absolutely loved it. So he'll have some at the show. It's an amazing, amazing timepiece. And it's
actually,
made for
that
Canada.
leads to a question. For the British Watchmakers Show, a lot of brands made specific watches for that show. At Wind Up, there's always a brand or two that does a release for the timing of that show. Have any other brands like these guys at Wake, have anybody else talked about doing a specific limited edition or a timepiece show run of watches?
Awake is the first one to have approached and wanted to do it. I think as the show grows, there will be more brands that just do it. We always have brands which have just recently launched a product, and it might be a day or two before. So it might not be geared specifically for the Toronto show, but it will be a brand new release. So I think we'll see more of that as time goes on.
You and Jose should do it.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. But I remember last year, Christopher Ward had released their Lumiere dive watch the week before the show, and they had them with them at the Toronto show. So
absolutely, and like even for Vancouver, they released the local, I think, like one day before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that's right. That's right.
It was the very first public show where the local had been presented. So I think we'll continue to see this as time goes on, and doing a novelty specific for a show can be fairly expensive, but I think we're going to see more of it going forward. So
Brent's got another question here. It says, with Toronto, Vancouver, and now Montreal, do you think you have anything else left in the tank? I mean, I know that there are a lot of other communities out there in Canada and overseas that would love to have a timepiece show come to town. But given your limited time, is there a saturation point?
I would say the answer is no, generally. There's a saturation point, certainly for me. But it's our intention still is to grow. We're looking at, I had kind of the capacity this year to choose one additional show. And we were looking at some international locations as well, but ultimately I decided that I wanted to go forward with Montreal. I do have a number of groups who've approached me or I'm in dialogue with, looking and seeking some assistance or wanting to partner to build shows. So those locations are in Europe, those locations are in US, and there's other locations as well. So I do believe that we'll continue to grow over time. It's just a matter of deciding kind of when to go and where, because the most important thing for me is if we commit to going to a city or a new location, is we need to make sure we do it right. This is very important. It's not just about growth, it's about growth and providing something that's of amazing value and an amazing experience for everybody. So, that will be, I guess, the limiting factor is just, can we make it an incredible experience for wherever we choose to go next? And we've got the 3 biggest cities in Canada now covered. So Next one is probably going to be outside of Canada. I've got a short list for me, but we'll see where.
I vote for a beach destination.
You know, I'm gonna give you a little insight. There's actually one of the people I'm gonna have some dialogue with, and don't say anything because you could probably figure out who it is.
But I already know.
Yeah, so do I. I was about to say something about it.
Don't say anything yet. But there's actually somebody I'm going to be talking to, and they are kind of a beach kind of destination. So
yeah, in March.
Possible
or February when it's freaking cold out here.
February or March. So this may be a possibility as well.
Yeah,
we'll see if things work out. But I think it could be a lot of fun for the brands, and I think for people to come. It would be marketed a little differently because it's almost a destination that people would want to go. It's like going for a destination wedding. You go for the wedding, but you hang out for the week and have some fun too.
I talked to him in LA about this, and it'd be really cool.
He's excited, so we will see. But we're not going to say anything more, just to be fair to him. But this is a real possibility. So
now it's easy for me to disappear, go to Toronto for a weekend in the middle of summer, or go to Vancouver in the spring or whatever. If we go to this place in February, I have some family members are going to be pretty pissed with me.
Bring them along. This is my advice. Bring them along.
Yeah, we'd have to time that.
You know, it's every destination has its advantages, and I'm speaking from an attendee standpoint and also exhibitor standpoint. But it's challenging because I've seen it and I've lived it too. A lot of watch brands, they're on the road a lot, and they're truly road warriors, right? And going to a venue that is exciting for them and good for their business, but also is attractive. People want to go there. Sometimes there's locations for different shows and they're not particularly as interesting. And I think those destinations sometimes have a little more challenges recruiting people because it's harder to get to, or it's just not as exciting to come there as a visitor. We're very fortunate. Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal are all amazing cities, each in their own way. And I think it's very attractive for people to want to come there and take part as a visit as well.
So I got another one from Brent.
And I'm going to add questions today. What's going on with Brent?
I don't know. I'm going to add a little bit to his question. The first little bit will be me, and then the next part will be Brent. So other than being a 4-timer on the podcast, this is Brent, given everything you've done and all you've achieved, what has been the most rewarding element?
Say being on a show.
Being on the show. Yeah, no. Well, yes, I like doing that too. I'm going to speak in a general sense about something that I always love when it happens. And for me, the most rewarding piece, and the piece that I like, is when you're traveling somewhere, like you're at another watch show somewhere else. And this can happen like in Toronto or in Vancouver too. But when it happens outside of Canada, I find it's amazing. And like on my most recent trip, there was a gentleman from Croatia, and he had heard me. He's like a podcaster and content creator there. And he's been following the Toronto and Vancouver Timepiece Show series. And he's a fan of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And he heard me having a dialogue with another brand, and he stopped me in the hallway afterwards and introduced himself. And he just wanted to say hello and thank me for everything that I was doing and congratulate me on the growth and the success. And I never met him before. I haven't talked to him online, but it's amazing to me that you've had an impact, or you've done something that resonates with someone across the world, and you've never even had the opportunity to meet them before. I love being able to have that impact or connection on people. So this is the thing that's most rewarding for me. When someone comes to the show and it becomes an amazing weekend for them, or they just enjoy it personally, that's the most fulfilling thing of what I do. I absolutely love it. And we talk about it a lot in the horology industry, especially the independent horology industry, is the connection and the camaraderie between people within the space. And I absolutely love that. It's the most fulfilling part of what I do. And so that's kind of one thing, but it's one thing spread out over many different instances. So
that's an amazing thing for sure.
It is.
So you're very busy. Obviously, we're a week away from the show, and on behalf of us and the listeners, we are Really appreciate you taking the time today. It's been great chatting, and we'll see you again really soon at the show. Thank you so much for all the hard work you do to make it happen, and thank you for coming on today.
It's my pleasure, and look forward to visit number 5 sometime in the near future.
Definitely coming soon. We'll be doing 3 a year now with Montreal. So the Time to Calibrate podcast is out every 2 weeks and can be found wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out on Instagram or email us directly at timetocalibrate@gmail.com. Until next time, T2C out.